Everybody, and welcome back to the Aquarian Wisdom Festival. I am your host and the creator of this event, Jocelyn Mercado, and I am thrilled and honored today to be speaking with Khadija Yansane. Welcome, Khadija. Thank you so much for being a part of this festival.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking to you, so I'm glad that we get to do it again.
Yes, likewise. I always love talking to you as well. So, and this is our final interview of the festival. I was just telling Khadija, I can't believe that it's done already, and it's not done though, because the replays will still be available. So everybody keep on enjoying all of the goodness, even after this last live interview. And I know you're gonna love what Khadija has to share here today. So everybody who's on live, go ahead and put your name and location into the chat so we can see where everyone's zooming in from. And I'm going to go live on YouTube while you guys do that. So this will take just a moment. Going live on YouTube is much quicker and more efficient than it used to be. About a year ago, it took a lot longer.
Hi, Louisa from Ireland. Marina in Sweden. Awesome. Sister Bless. I love seeing these names.
I know. I love Sister Bless. She's been on every live call we've had, I think.
Oh,
She's been
wow.
so engaged and here with us. So yeah, blessings, Sister Bless. So glad you're here with us. And welcome Sandra in Edmonton, Maureen and Tom in Auburn, Maine, Michelle in Florida. Yay. So glad you've loved every moment. Andrea in Ohio. Wonderful. And I know we'll have more people joining. And also hi to everybody out on YouTube. We're live on YouTube now, so welcome in. So Khadija, let me introduce you to everybody. And Khadija and I have interviewed each other many times, so we're good friends and we always have so much fun. So Khadija Yansane is the founder of bloomintoyou.com and the creator of the signature program, The Client Creation Queen, 8 weeks to get clients, get paid, and live your sacred calling. Yes, woohoo. She's helped her clients do things like getting their first 10K month, getting their first and next paying clients, creating and developing their profitable niche, leading their first workshops, starting and growing their own communities, charging more for their services, and positioning themselves as experts. Last but certainly not least, she is the proud mamapreneur of two with her partner, Mike, and they live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Yes. Yay, wonderful, Khadija. And your topic is becoming the true you in business. And I love this because, you know, I'm sure your business clients like mine are probably mostly women. Yeah. And there's something really powerful happening right now with the opportunities online and entrepreneurship online for women to just really step into their power in a whole new way than what has been available to us before. Even like 10 years ago, you know, this really wasn't available. So it's super powerful, the work that you're doing to help women step into their power and, you know, just be able to be self-sufficient, independent, earn our own income. There's something really big happening here that is part of the rise of the feminine, which is a lot of what we've been talking about in this festival from many different angles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to say, any comments about that specifically. I just, it moves me so much.
And it moved me just to hear what you said, and it's absolutely true. And I feel like when I started as a business owner, which I didn't even identify as a business owner, I didn't necessarily know that this would be a path to me becoming more of who I am and me helping others to do the same. But I agree with you that we're in such a special time on so many levels, you know, like just having access to social media. When I became a coach in 2007, maybe I can't remember when Facebook started, but I know I wasn't on Facebook. So that like there was no talk. I don't remember talk of any social media in my coaching program. And it took me a while to get on a Facebook. But just the fact that we have these free platforms, like we're on Zoom now and you're streaming on YouTube and in Facebook, and that this is something that each of us, well, I shouldn't say each of us, because maybe not everyone in the world has a computer or has access to the internet, but like, if you're watching this, like, wow, you have this at your disposal. And even though it can be scary, Jocelyn and I have talked about to press play, to push publish. But
Yeah.
if there's something in your heart that you want to share, that you want to create, if you want to teach, no matter what it is, you have this tool amongst many. But if we're just taking one tool, like, wow, this is amazing. And just looking at the comments of where people are from all over the world, we're very positioned to share and connect and to bring these messages to, it can feel overwhelming to say the world. And if it does feel overwhelming for you to say the world, it could just be to your community, to your network, to your hometown. Um, I just want to share quickly. So I have a 5-year-old, and he was not in his going to his preschool, and the teachers created a YouTube channel for the kids. And, my son was missing his preschool, but it felt so amazing for him to be able to watch his teachers read to him and sing songs to him. And it's amazing the power of connection that's available to
Yeah.
us. And that's just one thing.
Yes, it really is. It's really powerful, and it's so amazing on here to gather, and like you were saying, to see the people coming in from all around the world and feel the energy of that. Like we're gathering together, wrapping all around the world with our energy and creating these beautiful spaces. So yeah, it's very inspiring.
It is.
Well, Khadijah, what was your journey to finding the true you in your business?
Whew. It's a journey that continues, but um, you know, I think that my journey has started with just, like, if I just look as a young person and what I wanted to do when I grow up, and I'm 45 now, but at the time, and I wonder if maybe your audience members can relate to this, like, your parents or your family or teachers, they tell you what they think that you should be, and well-meaning. I more often than not, it can be well-meaning, and that they see things in you. And so just like that first, my first inclination was like, oh, I wanted to go to fashion school, and I wanted to do something creative. And I was taught to do something, like, follow a path that you can count on. And I don't mean that in a way of like, I totally understand. I'm a parent now. And I wasn't then, and so I was taught to follow a path that I can count on. And of course, that's what, my parents are immigrants to this country. And I think I grew up really being taught to feel grateful that I could go to school, that I had books to read, like, just all of these things. And so, like, I also felt like I wasn't just going to school for myself and for my future, but I was also going to school for people who couldn't go to school. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of, pressure, but also, it's also something that I appreciate. But it's interesting. So my father, he would always thought that I should major in business. And he said, darling, a girl like you should major in business. And I just thought, like, wow, he's totally missing the mark. He doesn't get me. And years later, I was like, wow, Dad, you saw the business thing, because I had a different understanding of what business meant. And I think for many people today who seek to start a coaching business, a healing business, any type of entrepreneurial venture, like, it's a pathway to their expression and a way for them to be all of who they are. And I know for me, oftentimes in different work environments, I felt a little stifled. I felt like I couldn't fully be me, whether that's how I wore my hair or how I wanted to dress. Like, I just felt like there was, I was going to say a little bit of a costume, and I don't mean that extreme, but I just didn't feel like I could just be all of who I am. And what I feel like my business affords me, in addition to my, my livelihood and my vocation and being able to earn, is me being able to bring all the parts of me to work, which I highly cherish. And I think that the women that I work with, they're also seeking that as well, that sense of fulfillment, that sense of expression. And, it's like we're all, whether you have a business or not, like you want that sense of wholeness and like, this is who I came here to be. Like, there's more that I want. And so I feel like for a lot of people, their business affords them the opportunity to be that more and have that more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that's really important, and I think we've talked about this before too, is this idea that starting a business and the continual journey of being an entrepreneur, it is absolutely a spiritual journey, a spiritual adventure, let's say, because you are just, you're brought face to face with your deepest fears, your deepest resistance. Um, and it's really powerful then to put yourself in a space to dare to have the courage to move through that, right? So what more would you say about that aspect?
Yes, it is. It is. I love that you're using that word dare because it does take a lot of courage. And because it's your business, it can feel more personal, So it's like if you work at Amazon, like if people say bad things about Amazon, you might not feel the same way
Mhm.
as if you created something and then they're like, that sucks, because that's
Right. It's very different.
your heart on the line. But you're right, it requires a lot of courage. Maybe there are people in your life, maybe you're the first person to follow this type of path. I hear a lot of people say that they worry about showing themselves too much, like maybe they're bragging or they're focused on themselves, and so that, like, being willing to confront that, even that piece of like, oh, am I showing myself too much? Am I being too visible? Am I showing off? A lot of women in my community feel like they um, worry about that, and that, like, that's an opportunity to really do the deeper work of like, wow, is that really true? You wanting to share your art, you wanting to be a parenting coach and letting people know that you can help them, you wanting to introduce people to a healthy lifestyle, whether it's through nutrition and healing, and letting people know about that. Is that actually showing off? Do you know what I mean? So it's like we get to really examine the thoughts that we're having about who we are in the world, about what matters to us. I know for myself, even just when I was leading women's circles years ago, like there was a part of me that felt shy to share that online, that like, oh, women's circles, what are people doing at women's circles, right? Are you guys howling at the moon, So I just remembered that there'd be like this little like embarrassment or shyness about it. And even just being confronted with that, it's like, okay, well, why am I shy or embarrassed to share something that I feel like has been an essential part of who I am as a woman and how I've grown? Like, I've sat in circles for over 2 decades now, and I so believe in the power of that. And so it's like you get to ask yourself, like, why am I afraid? Why am I shy? Whatever the word is, maybe it's not fear, maybe it's not shyness, maybe it's not something, maybe it's, why do I not feel good enough? And then you get to do the deeper work of being with that and like, is that true? And just like expand your capacity to stand in your own truth, which I also think is incredible. Um, I've seen immense growth in myself, Jocelyn, since, leading those first circles to now. And it doesn't mean that I don't have any fears, but I feel like I've created more momentum in this direction. And so what I mean by that is like sometimes your fears can have a lot of momentum. And so because they have so much momentum, trying to introduce a new step can feel really terrifying and feel like it's not working. But when you've created a lot of momentum towards your path, towards, what it is that you want, towards your vision, then that momentum becomes stronger. And it's something that we can practice. It's absolutely something that we can build, which hopefully is reassuring for those of you that might still be in that spot.
Yes, absolutely. So how can people be more of themselves in business? Because it's a lot of what you were just saying, right? We come up against this resistance, or, I'm being too much, I'm being too, showy, or whatever it is, or I'm not good enough. So how can we move through that and really like allow ourselves to express what's really inside?
Yes, it really is about allowing yourself to express what you feel inside. And one is to just give yourself permission to want what you want, like without even, the pressure of having to share it with another person, without, thinking about what you're going to do with it, but, in the sanctity of your own thoughts. I've been a huge journaler since childhood. And so if you just give yourself free permission to like, what is it that I want? Like, if I could have it any, like all those great coaching questions, like if I could have it any way that I wanted, what would I choose? If all of life was supporting me and the people around me that I'm afraid would not support me, like if they were supporting me and were going to tell me to go for it, what would I choose? If I knew that I couldn't fail, what would I go for? So I think just starting basic with like, which is not, because, I find a lot in my work that sometimes people realize that there's dreams that they had that they've given up on, like I was just talking to a client recently who we were doing some excavation work and she realized like, wow, she has always loved speaking. And that was kind of something that she put to the side. So I would say number one is to get really intimate with your own desires and wants. And whatever that looks like for you, maybe it's writing, even just giving yourself some time to think about it. Maybe you're more of a recorder. And then like, what were the things that used to really light you up, that you really wanted to do? And it doesn't mean that those are exactly the things, but they definitely point a clue in the right direction. I've also been someone that has loved, I've collaged since childhood, but if you're not much of a writer, because not everyone is, sometimes images can be really powerful because they, like they bypass all of the mental chatter, and maybe you see lots of images of nature or travel, like those really, or maybe it's just other people or thought leaders that you look up to or entrepreneurs, that really give you insight into what might light you up. And so those are some beginning places. And what I also think that business affords you the opportunity to do is to really get intimate with your core values. Like, what is it that matters to you? What do you feel like upsets you? Or what is it that you want to fight for? Or what do you feel like, this is what I want my life to be about. This is what I want my business to be about. And for some people, it's activism. And for some people, they're like, it's about the earth and they really want their business to contribute to the earth. For some people, it's about children. And so at every business, um, has an energy imprint. And so your business has an energy imprint that really is summed up of your values. Is it the value of solitude? Maybe it's the value of spirituality. So really spending some time with what's important to me. Again, it's like it keeps coming back to you because your business starts with you, and then it reaches out to the people that you serve, that are your customers, and all of that. And then the fourth thing I would say is that you really want to get support. And so whether that, like, just, you, Jocelyn, having these amazing festivals and these communities of like-minded people, sometimes you've outgrown the audience or community that you're in, or maybe you can only express a certain aspect of yourself. But being in communities and having the support where you feel like you have the safety to explore and nurture parts of yourself that might seem new or foreign to the people around you, um, is invaluable. So whether that's a community support or the support of a coach or a therapist, but you don't have to do it alone. And I don't believe that we're designed to do it alone. Like, we thrive off of other people's energy. And, people in my communities always say that, like, wow, when I see her going for it, it emboldens me to go for it as well.
Absolutely.
That was
Wow,
a
I love
mouthful.
yeah, I love so many things that you shared there. I'll share a brief story
Mhm.
from my journey. I started so that idea of what would you do if you knew you could not fail?
Mm,
I love that so much. And that quote, that is a quote that came to me when I was still in corporate. And I didn't even know at the time how much I still had, like probably 7 years to go in corporate at the time that I found that quote. But I found it and I was like, this is some key to my future because
mm.
I don't know the answer to this question yet, but I know I need to dream into this question and find out what the answer is. And so I put it up on my cubicle and
Mm,
I kept it there for years. And every single day I would ask myself, what would you do if you knew you could not fail?
I love that.
And it eventually, right, I began to manifest those things that I would love to do if I knew I could not fail, like starting my business and all the other things that have come since then and my deep spiritual journey. So I mean that was even before my spiritual awakening. I
Wow.
came upon that question. So it's important to know, I think, that even if you're very early on in the journey, just beginning to do the inquiry into a
Mm,
question like
mm,
that, like what would you do if you knew you could not fail,
mm,
and start really dreaming into that and really setting your intentions for what would that actually be, beyond your wildest dreams.
mm.
It's very powerful what starts happening on a subconscious level. And if you already have your business and you're already doing some of that, but you want to do more, keep asking those questions because it's so powerful.
Yeah, because we all have a what's next,
Yeah.
and ironically, this morning my son wanted to do puzzles. So we were like, did 6 puzzles, and he wanted me to be on the floor with him doing these puzzles. And I was just like, wow, puzzles are so amazing because you throw everything out and you're like, I don't know what the first piece is. And so like already like I had a content piece that was coming to me of just like the whole puzzle piece, just because the question, what would I do if I could not fail can seem like 1,000 piece puzzle.
Yeah.
And you just asking the question can be that first piece. And of course, as you start putting pieces down, it's like, I'm like, wow, this is like a puzzle for a 4-year-old. And I'm like, I don't know what the piece is. And then all of a sudden it gets
Yeah.
really fast and you're able to put the pieces down. And so I think that our journey is so much like that because sometimes you can't see the whole puzzle, but starting with the first piece.
Yes.
Yes,
Even
Louisa
when
says the first steps can be the hardest. Absolutely. And you're like, is there really a puzzle piece here? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, even when you can't see what those puzzle pieces are. I love that image of the puzzle pieces as like the steps on the journey. It's really powerful.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, even when you can't see, you don't even know what the steps are. That's where I was. I didn't know. I didn't know I was going to leave corporate. And I was thinking, I had a really funny thought as you were saying, bring together communities of people that get you or that are in like-minded people to you. And I was thinking it's so cool that I can bring together a community, like coming from corporate, right, where you have to, like you said, put on the costume, have everything standardized. I
Yeah.
get to create communities where it's okay that I have blue hair. Right, things like this, like that seems kind of simple, but it's really big when we are able to allow our identity to shift and grow into who we really are and bring together the people around that. It's pretty amazing.
I love that you brought that up just because it just makes me think of just part of becoming the the true you too. Is just like has to do with style, right? Like how do I want to present and express myself in the world? If I knew no one was going to say anything, would I color my hair? Would I cut my hair? What would I do with it? How do I want to present? And so like there's just an authenticity there too that is available to explore, which I'm still exploring, so during this pandemic, I stopped coloring my hair. And it wasn't easy in the beginning, right? Because I was coloring it and then it just I was not used to seeing myself with silver hair. And now I absolutely love it. And I I don't know if I would have done it this soon. Who knows? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But the point is that giving ourselves permission to like explore different sides of ourselves and just being faced with like, oh, what does that mean? That I have silver hair now, and like not realizing that maybe I was attached to youth. And even though like I feel young at heart in a lot of ways, like just me being willing to like embrace my own maturity, you know, and that doesn't mean, I'm not saying that people shouldn't color their hair, but just like, oh, like, what's my voice? Like part of it was like, oh, am I worried about what other people are going to think? And so
Mhm.
I think part of becoming more of who you are in business is like you being the driver of your own decisions and what feels good to you. And it, going back to, I can't remember the word that you used, it wasn't courageous, daring to, you know, like I dare to be a woman who wears blue hair, you know, I
Yeah.
dare to be a woman who's, you know, in my beautiful nature setting, right? And have a successful, thriving business. And being willing to think outside of the box and know that your audience, your clients, your customers, like they're attracted to you because of that. Like, wow, like those little nuances, um, which make up who you are or a part of who you are, resonate, I think, so deeply with your audience.
Yeah,
Sister
I
Bluff,
think that's
oh, go
so
ahead. No,
cool.
go ahead.
Yes, yes. She says, I love my gray hair as a sign of eldership and wisdom. Yes. Yeah, well, Khadija, you look so beautiful with your silver hair. I remember when I think you had some new photos taken or something that were on Facebook, and it was the first time I had seen you with your silver hair, and I was like, whoa, she is glowing. Like you were just so, it's like you're just really just fully expressing who you are and just living into that. It's so beautiful. So
Thank
that's exactly what you said. You know, the more we can let shine whatever's inside, and if that's through the hair color or makeup difference or you know, like that's a wonderful way to bring it out and just
you.
play
Yeah,
and have fun with that.
so true. I was doing I was speaking at a group this week, and I was just sharing how, you know, they're marketing their businesses, and I was saying like there are things that you take for granted that just are part of your daily routine, that are a part of your life that people resonate with. So whether that's your mom, or you love dogs, or you love to travel, like some part of it feels aspirational to your audience, or that it's just connection points. You know, like some people might love that you post about your animals because they're big animal lovers, and then that's a connection point. And so being willing to share more of who you are in your marketing, in your expression, has people find you and resonate with you energetically or not, of course.
Yeah. Well, so another really important aspect that I know you work with is this idea of being a mamapreneur, right?
Mhm.
It's really, it adds a whole other aspect, right? When we bring in that I have two girls that are 7 and 10. As they get older, it gets a little easier because they're more self-sufficient, but especially when they were little and I was first starting my business, like it's a lot. So what is your top advice to mompreneurs? Um, and yeah, or what is like a big challenge that you see for yourself or your clients in that realm? And what would you say to
Yeah.
that?
Well, I would say to be gentle with yourself, that mothering is a huge job. And it's like, I know that I found myself acting as though I wasn't a mom. I don't, and what I mean by that is acting as though it's like, and it can be really unconscious, like, oh, you know, I'm doing all the things I'm doing for my kid, but then also expecting myself to do everything that I was doing for work. And so I feel like I've done a better job at balancing that. I would say in the last, you know, my kids are 5, my daughter's turning 7, that the last several years, like I've put a lot of energy into my business. Part of it is because I'm obsessed and I love it, but I love that I've been able to be at home with them. And I feel like this last year, it's like, wow, they're growing up so fast. Like I want to spend even more time with them. And so what I've been looking at is like, okay, um, like literally looking at all the tasks in my business. And it's like, okay, what can I get help with? What is not really giving me a return? So like I like looked at everything and it's just like, okay, these are the most important things for me that are actually pushing the needle forward, and then letting go of all the things I thought that I had to do. So like getting that clarity of like, how much time do you actually want to spend with your kids? What time are you going to allocate to that? What time are you going to allocate to your business? Having self-care days, because sometimes it felt like for me, my kids were still young, that like, you know, they still need you. So it can feel as though you're working every day. And so I really had to learn to just really start to honor my weekends versus, you know, it's like, okay, not that you can't work on the weekend. I feel like it's about choice, you know, but I feel like I prefer to, once in a while I'll work on the weekends, but I felt like I was working the weekends a lot before. And so just making sure that my weekends are for my family and for what I want to do around the house or for us being together. And so you get to decide that for yourself. But I think when we were talking about earlier, like, what is it that you actually want? So it's like, if you could create your ideal day, your ideal week, what would that look like? And even if it's not exactly doable for you right now, how can you begin to insert more of that into your life? And so simple things like, oh, you know, I used to not have specific days to see clients and now I do. Um, you know, I take Monday, like I have things that I do on Monday, but I don't necessarily see clients on Monday. So like just even looking at basic things like your schedule, it's like, okay, what days do I want to do this? What days do I want to have? Like maybe I want to play hooky that day. So really designing it to support you to have your needs met in different areas.
Definitely. Yeah. I love what I've finally evolved into and figured out is an A week and a B week
Mm,
is like ideal for me, where I schedule. So if I have, you know, if I'm teaching groups, I schedule them all on the A week. If I have clients, I schedule them all on the A week. And then the B week is very open. So
mm,
then I can have my time when I'm doing the work and getting everything done. And then I can have my time when I'm, you know, can be with my kids or do self-care, whatever else is needed. But it will be different for everyone, you
yes,
know, that's
absolutely.
what works for me, but it will be different. Like you said, maybe certain days of the week you make sure to have open. So really tune into what it is ideal for you and your family. I think that's amazing advice.
Yeah, and even how you schedule things. Like sometimes I was thinking, how did I do that? Like where I would schedule things with not a lot of space in between. And it's like, oh, you know, how do you want 15 minutes in between appointments? Do you want 30 minutes between appointments? Or are you better going back to back and then taking a break? And so really allowing yourself to have fun, like knowing like, oh, I'm going to want to eat then. Um, Sometimes even just looking at the month. One time I did a launch during my period, like I wasn't thinking, I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I want to consider that when I'm
Yeah,
creating
the
my
moon time,
schedule, looking at the
definitely.
month, putting birthdays on it so that it's allowing you to be more intentional about time off or other things that are going on in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big thing for women, like taking off at least a day, preferably 3 days around our moon time, you know,
Yeah,
like that's really big. And that's something that finally we can talk about now.
yeah.
for for a long time, it was like, nope, can't talk about that. But you know, I hear more and more stories even of like corporate offices that
Hmm,
will give women off a day or 3 days or something like that.
I love
Um,
that.
at that time, and it's so important to recognize these cycles that are very real and important for us to, you know, when we will be more tired or need to just give ourselves more self-care and to
Yeah, and I
really
think
honor
that's
that.
so true. I was just gonna say that that's really becoming more of who you are, you know, paying attention to your energy cycles, um, paying attention to birthdays, you know, like just the things that matter to you and taking that into account when you're creating your calendar or your schedule, because our schedule makes up our life. And so that's a good place to start with.
Definitely. Well, one more big topic here is money and our financial mindset as we're moving through, you know, creating a business and wanting to grow that business. And this is one place that I know, I think all of us get stuck at one or multiple points or another, So what would you say for, for one thing, there's this idea that, well, if I'm spiritual or if I'm doing healing work or that kind of thing, I shouldn't charge money for it. What would you say to that kind of mindset? What do you tell your clients?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have found that um, a lot of people have, I'm imagining the people that are watching this have spent a lot of time investing in their personal growth and development. And so when I look at my community, like they've invested in yoga trainings, they've invested in doula trainings, they've invested in coaching certifications, they go to, acupuncturists, they go to, they hire providers to help them in their growth and really see the value in that. Yet it can feel really scary or challenging to receive money. And so sometimes I literally have had people write down on paper all that they've invested in themselves, because sometimes they're not even aware of it, like literally, okay, so how much did it cost for you to go to yoga teacher training? How much time have you spent as a yoga practitioner? And so I think starting even just with what you've invested, time, energy, and money to learn the skills that you have. And do you feel like it was worth it? And so then I would ask, like, why do you think it's not worth someone else paying to have the type of transformation that you've had? Like, part of the reason that you've had that transformation is because you've invested the time, money, and energy. And so I think when you ask, people do feel conflicted. I know I felt conflicted, and like, we're taught that to be a good person, that we should just do things freely, like out of the goodness of your heart. And I think we've talked about this kind of before, but like, we've always had currency. We've always had an exchange, even if we didn't have cash or coins, like if you would go to someone's house, maybe you would bring them some flowers or some stones or some nuts or a goat, something to acknowledge what you've received. And so part of it is to get comfortable receiving even in small amounts. Because the cool thing is that it's going to grow. Like, you're going to, let's say you charge $100 and someone pays you $100, then your body, your mind, your brain, it's like, oh, someone thinks it's worth paying me $100. You're going to expand your capacity. But one of the things that you have to decide is that the point of going into business, part of it is to earn money. And so you could just say, like, I don't want to earn money. I just want to do my gift and not deal with it. And maybe you have another way that you earn, which is totally fine. Like, I've had things where I thought that I wanted to turn that hobby into a money-making business, and I realized I didn't. I was just like, no, my heart's really not into that. And so you first have to decide, do you want to earn making money with this particular skill? If so, it would be helpful to reframe, I think, your view of money, that it's just an exchange of energy. And what you want to get really present to is, like, what is the value that you're bringing to the marketplace? What is the value that you're bringing to your clients? So let's say you're a parenting coach and you're a parenting coach and you're working with a family and they're having a really hard time establishing routines at home. The kids are late for school. They can't get them to do their homework. And you come in and you really help this family have more harmony, better communication. The kids are thriving. The parents are happy. Like, what's the value of that to that family? So, like, the kids feeling great going to school, the parents is not yelling them out of the house. that's going to inform
That's
the
like
relationships.
priceless,
That's
that's like
priceless.
beyond money value.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
going to have better relationships at school with their teachers. They're going to grow to be a confident adult. So part of it is you really getting intimate with the value that you provide and the transformation that's possible with your clients. And one of the things as you're working with people, really take in the testimonials that you're getting, really take in how people's lives are being transformed. Then you're really going to, like, once you allow that in versus just thinking you're not really doing anything, maybe they could do it on their own, that people aren't paying you because they have to. They're paying you because they want this transformation. They want this information that has come really easy for you. And so I would also look at people that you admire who have money and you feel like they're handling it well. Maybe you feel like they're being of service. Sometimes even just having a service goal behind what you're doing. Like I know um, you could put it in your business model that 10% or 20% of what you earn or the income that comes in goes to a foundation or to some cause that you really care about. But what does having more money allow you to do? How is that going to transform your life? And are you willing to become more of who you are? Because becoming more of who you are is allowing yourself to be abundant in every area of your life. So money touches everything. When you increase your income, what now happens in your household? Are you eating better? Do you feel like you have less stress? Are you paying off debt? Are you saving? Are you helping a family member out or being of service the way that you truly want? I think focusing the attention on like, what good can I do with money? What could bringing more money into my business, how is that going to allow me to serve? And so I think that part of our job as coaches, healers, guides is to ask questions that open things up versus asking questions that close things down. Because if you're not earning, if you're under earning, A, that doesn't feel good. B, it's a constant state of anxiety and stress, which can lead to illness, depression, all kinds of things. But what good can money do? And how can you commit to being on the good side of being a steward of money? Those are my thoughts.
I love that. Yes. I love what you said about, really getting clear on your transformation, and just how powerful it is. And one thing I see is entrepreneurs who are interested in many different, like they've been trained in many different modalities. And they're kind of offering a little, maybe a little Reiki over here and a little, yoga over here. And I'm like, you can bring all this together, right? And package it in a unique way that nobody else can do because you have uniquely trained in these specific modalities, right? So really being creative and outside of the box, I think about how are we going to bring that transformation for people.
Yeah.
It can be very fun and exciting to just, you know, shatter all the ways you thought that had to be delivered and come up with a very new and different way that nobody's doing yet, or nobody's doing in that same way.
Yeah, I think, just kind of what you were saying with that question that you were sitting with for all those years, what would you do if you could not fail? It's like, how could I serve my clients with my gifts? I don't know if that's the question, but you want to ask questions that really turn things on their head and open things up for you. Michelle said, amazing and helpful pearls. I'm so glad. Thanks for sharing.
Yay, thank you, Michelle. Well, thank you, Khadijah. This has been such a beautiful conversation, and I want to make sure everybody knows about your free gift, and then we can also open it up for a little bit of Q&A if anybody has any questions. So if you have questions out there, go ahead and put the questions in the chat. Also, we could probably take one person, if anybody wants to raise their hand and come over on video, we could probably take one person asking a question that way too, or commenting or reflecting. And then meanwhile, your free gift is the ultimate guide to client creation. So would you like to share a little more about that?
Sure. So if you are a coach, healer, service-based entrepreneur, I have a free guide. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Client Creation, where I share the 4 M's to manifesting clients. And we go over things like who you're being, how you're showing up, what you're thinking, your mindset, how to manifest. So we cover some keys to manifestation. We also go over marketing and how to talk in the language of your ideal client, as well as how to monetize your expertise. So if you would like more support around that, I think you'll really find the guide helpful. And there's some prompts in there that you can fill in. So yes, that is the link, the manifestclientsnow.com/guide.
Awesome. So for those who are live on Zoom here with us, that is in the chat, and definitely go click on that and grab that free gift from Khadijah. And if you are watching this as a recording, just scroll down a little bit below the video and you will see the button there to click for her free gift. So thank you for sharing this with us, Khadijah.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So let's see, everybody. I know you're not shy. We've been doing this all week. So don't be shy now. Go ahead and ask any questions that you might have. One more thing I'll say that was coming through for me too is we're brought up in this culture, I think, where we're taught that somehow, and to me, this makes less and less sense as I go along, but somehow we're taught that people who have a lot of money are bad people,
Mhm.
right? Or evil in some way. So if I have a lot of money, that means I'm not going to be a good person. But what I've seen is that money gives us the freedom to be more of who we really are.
Mm.
So sure, there are some like evil, greedy, selfish people. They have a ton of money and they're doing evil, greedy, selfish things with it. But
Mhm.
if you or I or like one of our amazing clients gets more money, we're going to do really good things with that money because we're we're heart and we want to create a better world for our kids and for other people. So just know that it's okay for you to have way more money. It's really okay because it's going to allow you the freedom to do more, express more, be more of who you are. So part of
Yeah,
it is just like the universe wants to send us all the abundance so we can fulfill our purpose, right? Like the
indeed.
universe wants to send us so much, and sometimes we close those channels and block the channels. But if we can really believe like we're meant to have this abundance, that those channels can open up. So
Mm.
it's an important thing to mention.
Yes, and I feel like that's a great place of inquiry. If money is an amplifier and it can amplify more of who you are, how do you wish? How do you want money to amplify you? How do you want to amplify your services? How do you want to amplify the good that you want to do in the world? And I think for every person that, you think does bad with money or is manipulative, there are people who are doing the opposite. And I think this is also another great place where having mentors, models, people that you look up to. And I just think even just reading about money and reading about does something to you. So again, going back to the basics of like, are you reading something on a regular basis that has you feel good about being who you are in the world, about making money, about all the things that you want? I think being steeped in that on a regular basis is going to help you feel more powerful versus I think we're at a place where we're evolving the conversation about money that, I think there, like the whole polarities of either or, like you can only be beautiful, you can't be smart. You're beautiful or smart. You're a virgin or a whore, you're rich or you're a good person, right? And we want to hold space for the and that we can be all of those things. So, you can be creative and analytical. You can be abundant and service oriented. And so be thinking about like, what are the polarities that you're having inside of yourself and where are you willing to hold space for the and that you can be both and
Yes,
we
yes.
don't have to
Love
stay in
that.
either or.
Definitely. And that's part of the full expression is like all the facets within.
Absolutely. So someone says, thank you. I have trouble exposing myself on social media. I like just highlighting my business. Are there caption prompts or templates I can use to get in the practice of sharing meaningful information? I'm not sure what you mean by caption prompts, but I do want to acknowledge, it says Crystal, so I don't know if that's your name, but hi, thank you for your question. I think that you're not alone in putting yourself out there or your business out there on social media. A lot of people in my community share that with me, and it can be vulnerable to share what you're up to because you don't know how people are going to receive it. And yes, there are tons of templates and ways to make things easy. So just to give you a start, one of the ways that I share, so there's a few ways to share. I would first decide, like, how do I most want to share? Am I a verbal person? Am I an audio person? Am I someone that likes to speak and present? So decide for you first, how would it feel good for you to share what you're doing in what medium? And based on that, that's how you would choose. So like I do love to teach. So I do a regular Facebook Live. I also love like graphics and imagery. So I love to share, graphics of like tips. So that's that part that expresses my creativity. So I love that. I'm also a fan of quotes. So what I would recommend is like look at other people who you're following and jot down what you like about what they're doing. Like, oh, this person shares lots of quotes. I think I might like to share quotes. This person does lots of video. I think I might like to do video. So that could be a good starting point. And based on your niche, you want to share things that are niche specific, that, share insight or teach your audience things that you're an expert in, because it's going to have them see you as a potential guide to support them. Louisa says, do you work with people who are not in business, coming out of an intense awakening, confused, and previously in the charity sector for years, but want to have my own business and I've got gifts I want to share? So I as a business coach, not all of my clients are business coaches. They're people who are service oriented. So maybe they're a yoga teacher, they're an acupuncturist, they're a doula, but the way that they earn money is through acquiring clients. And then I help them package their expertise and learn how to market it. So I hope that answers your question. And this guide, Louisa, I think could be helpful for you just to begin that brainstorm of what kind of business you might like to get into. I imagine that you have gifts to share.
Yes, wonderful. And yeah, Louisa, just starting to ask those questions and getting clarity. If you're coming out of an intense awakening, there's so much still moving and being integrated and being sorted out. So just know that, like, be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself. The clarity will come. It's all happening. And yeah, sometimes it happens sooner, sometimes it happens later, but really trust. Oh, I don't know. We only see, I think, part of your comment there, Louisa. Okay, wonderful.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Khadija. It has been a pleasure to speak with you today, as always. So thank you so much for being here and being part of the festival.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing what you're doing consistently and being such a light. I was grateful to connect with you today, and thank you for your awesome questions, everyone, and participation.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone who's on live, this is our last live call of the festival. But again, like I said earlier, the festival's not over. Go back and watch the recordings that you haven't seen yet. The days 4 and 5 recordings will still be available for a couple more days. And of course, you can always buy lifetime access if you want to have permanent access to everything. I have had so much fun sharing with all of you. And there's going to be an exciting next step coming out. I've shared the slide earlier. I'm not going to share the slide right now, but look out for your emails. There's going to be an exciting next step coming out, which I'm going to announce next Wednesday, May 26th. So just keep an eye out for that. You can attend my live call then and see what's coming next from the Aquarian Wisdom Festival. I've just had so much fun sharing with you all. This audience, all of you here, has been so amazing. And I'm also sending so much love to everybody watching these as recordings. Yeah, it's been really powerful to be in this space, sharing this global space with all of you. Yay, thank you for the beautiful comments here. Yay, this came at a perfect time, Louisa says. Yes, love it. And Pamela, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, and all speakers. Yes. Sister Bless, I can't get enough. So much enlightenment and confirmation this whole week. Much gratitude. Yay. So glad to hear that, Sister Bless. That is wonderful. It's been so great to connect with you here. And thank you, Monica. And thank you all. All right. Well, so wonderful to share with all of you. Many, many blessings. Lots of love. Mwah. I'll be in touch soon. Keep an eye on your email. There's lots more fun and goodness coming along. So just wait. It's coming next. Okay. Love you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend ahead, everybody. Bye for now.